Hi, welcome to Part of My Frenchie. This is me, 143. If you don't have a friend, you have one now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, hey, Lori, how are you? I apologize for my delay. I just actually got a message as I was getting ready to go on live, and um, just and it's interesting because it's on a topic that we're discussing tonight too. Um, so oddly enough, that was um, you know something that we're going to be talking about because it is a big topic. It's a really big topic, and it affects the whole family and so. But anyway, so let's do our welcome, Lori. Oh, hey, Adam. Hi, Adam. How are you? How are you? Hope everything is good. Um, Rosie's with me on the couch right now. Lola's trying to lay down. Um, oh, and the moderator's there. The moderator's on location today. So, yeah, the moderator is on location today. So she is actually on location from Dave and Patty's house and Violet's. Aaron, hey, Aaron, hello. Oh, I was wondering where you were at last week, Adam. So oh, good. Where'd you go? Did you go anywhere fun? Yep, moderator sitting with Dave and Patty. One sec. Like I said, this is very, very. Hang on, let me send this because let's see here. Share. My apologies. I'm gonna copy this link. So let me put this to the side real quick. Oh, you went to another part of England. Okay. Oh, hi, Steve. How are you? Hello. Oh, and Violet's sitting with you guys too. Good. Yeah, I've got a couple different topics tonight, but the one we are gonna hit on is with regards to pet loss in kids and how to bring them through it. It's a very important topic. It's hard as parents when we're suffering a loss, and then having to take our kids through that as well. Great. Hi, welcome. And again, it's kind of a challenge, right? Because kids look at pet loss differently. There's, like I said, we'll get into it in a few minutes here. But anyway, so yeah, welcome. A lot of exciting things happening right now. Hi, welcome. Hi, nice to see you too. Yeah, we're in a pretty decent day here in Ohio, and luckily enough, like I said, my moderator has done a wonderful thing, and she's actually still helping me while she's on location, helping other family members. So God love her. Yes, it is a perfect evening. Yes, it is. I know on our last show we talked about different pet lot. You see all this smoke? I have all this incense burning down here. Our last show we talked about the different like pet laws and so forth, the funny ones, and of course that got me going down a rabbit hole that always, anytime I do things like that, it always gets me down this weird rabbit hole. And Jennifer, my name is Jennifer. Welcome. Yeah, and so going through this rabbit hole, there's the big reason for this channel is not only to bring people together who are going through pet loss and grief, and then of course we have some fun on Fridays, and other things like that. But the big thing is to break the stigma of pet loss and grief, and it's called disenfranchised grief when you are grieving yet you have to hide it. And that's just the way society is sometimes with pet loss, and it's not fair. It's not fair at all. So one of the things that we currently do not have, and especially in Ohio, we don't have it. We have bereavement time for people. We don't have any kind of bereavement time for companion animals. So going down my rabbit hole, I decided to do some research and get involved, and everything was finally sent out earlier this morning to all of our state representatives, this huge pack. And I'm pushing the Ohio Companion Animal Bereavement Leave Act for businesses to adopt if they wish. So, and what it does is it will give employees up to 2 days to be able to, process the grief when they lose a companion animal, and it's a bill that keeps the interest of the employees in in line, as well as it also helps companies, because when you have a loss and you're sitting through work, especially if it's the day after or whatever, you're not there, you're not productive. Let's put it that way. And so having something like this, and it doesn't, they're in the bill as well. It can be PTO. It doesn't have to be paid. But what it does is it'll protect somebody. It'll protect their position if they do need a day or two to process. And honestly, that's not even enough time. But with people, we lose our family and we lose people, and we get 3 days. That's not enough time either, right? But it's something. It's something, and it's acknowledgement. And I think more than anything, when we're going through pet loss and grief, it's the acknowledgement that what you're going through is important, and it is. And I did have, a couple people, because I have a petition out there on change.org that I'm trying to get a bunch of signatures. I'm happy to say that in less than 24 hours, I've gotten over 104 signatures. So it is a need, and it doesn't have to be people in the United States. Thank you. I know it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. I sent off all these big packets, and I mean, they're really nice. And it's all sectioned out for them, but it was, gosh, close to 75 pages a piece of these things. And, but it's good. It's good stuff. And hopefully it'll give me some leverage to make some changes, which, again, somebody had mentioned to me that, I don't know if this is the right time for that. And I said, you're right. It's not the right time. The right time was 50 years ago. And people have been walking around and having this stigma that they've got to hide what they're feeling, when, again, I always say this: pet industry is $1 billion industry. When we adopt a pet or a family member, as I like to call them, that is a 365 job. Our lives revolve around our animals, whether we admit it or not, whether you have kids or not, it doesn't matter. I have kids. I have a very active family, but I also have 3 dogs, and they are part of my identity. Having my dogs are part of my identity. The dogs and the damn birds and snails and everything else, and the little frogs, but that's part of our identity as pet parents. And when we lose that, we lose part of our identity, and we have to kind of learn to find who we are again, right? Or readjust. And, if you do have a family, you're going to find that not everybody is going to grieve that loss the same way. And that's fine, because with the difference, sorry, my Lola is slipping there a little bit. It's my incense. It's my incense. I always light incense when I come down here, like, for good luck. I know I'm trying to get rid of it. This is what happens when I'm home alone and I have to do my shows on my own without my co-producer, and then my moderators in a different state. So I'm trying to keep it together. But yeah, I always light incense down here, and I didn't realize that I had it too close to my screen. So, but that is what's down here. So, but yeah, it's when we do have, the difference in pet relationships and people relationships is huge. And again, going back to the bill is in no way comparing the loss of a companion animal to the loss of a human. These are 2 separate things, because they affect us differently, completely differently. Pet loss is more of an intimate bond that you have with your animal, and not everybody in the family is going to have that kind of intimate bond, and that's okay. That's okay, which means everybody in the family is going to grieve a little bit differently. I've said this in the past too, that people, parents sometimes will, they'll lose, we'll lose ours, and we get so upset, and then sometimes we'll look at our kids or other family members like, why aren't you as upset as I am? And it's not that they didn't love the dog, but they just had a different bond with the dog. So that's okay, because I think sometimes that our animals pick their people and kind of stick with them a little bit more. But again, it's hard. It's hard. And with grief, people grieve differently. I know people that during grief, they'll laugh, they're laughers, and it's not that they're happy about it. It's just that that's kind of like a reaction that they have whenever they're nervous and so forth. So, but yes, so excited about getting, seeing what kind of movement we can do with the bill. And it is a start of this journey. And I'm excited because I've never done anything like it before. But I am kind of at the point where I'm not going to accept no for an answer. So with that being said, I'm just looking for as much support as possible, and I can put the link to my change.org page in the comment section. Let's see. So today is Pet Loss Tuesday. Fridays are Frenchy Fridays. That's at 8 p.m. Now this Thursday, and I'm going to post a link in there as well. This Thursday, I am going to be at 9 o'clock on another YouTube show, and it's Mary the Medium show. Wonderful lady. She is one of the top 5 mediums in the country. I'm going to be on the show with her, and there's another medium on there whose name is Jason. Talked to them both this past week. They're wonderful people. So I'm going to be on their show on Thursday at 9 p.m. And I think it's like from 9 to 10 or something like that. I'll post a link for them as well. And then I'm going to have them on my show the following Tuesday. Yes, the following Tuesday for Pet Loss Tuesday, because they also do work with pets. And I find that extremely fascinating. So I'm going to have her on. And one of our viewers actually recommended her when we videos back when we had talked about it. So, and if you've never sat and listened to somebody that was doing like pet psychic work, it's very, very interesting. You submit a picture over, and the stuff that they come up with is pretty dead on. I've gone to a couple in the past, and some of the things they told me, nobody else would have known. So it was just very, and it's also kind of comforting. It's in a way, it gives people comfort to know that their pets are always with us, and what actually happens and goes on, and sometimes how quickly they go over to the other side after they leave us. And it's interesting stuff. So she'll be on my show, of course not this Tuesday, next Tuesday. So I'm looking forward to having them both on. I think it's going to be wonderful and fun. And so anyways, but I will be on her show Thursday at 9 p.m. So anyways, if you're here, welcome. I love it. 126 people on. Thank you so much. If you've lost anybody this past week, put their name in the comments. We always do. I'll get my incense out here, but we always light the candle after at the end of the show. Yes, right. I know. I'll put the. I am too. I enjoy being on other shows, so this will be a really, really good experience. I'm really, really excited for it. So, anyways, but yeah, if you lost anybody, put their comment or put their name in the comment section, and then we will honor them later on when we do the candle lighting. Again, welcome, beautiful moderator who is sitting with Dave and Patty and Violet currently. taking time to moderate the show for me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we always have our faithfuls, although I don't think Michelle's on yet. But Michelle is in New Zealand, Aaron is in Canada, and Patty is in the Chicago area with Violet. So these are our ones that come on all the time, and we love and appreciate you. And same thing with you, Adam. I don't have your picture, so I need to get your picture because you're always on here too, and I really, really appreciate you. And so let's start getting into some stuff here. But if you're new here, again, throw in if you've lost somebody, or kind of what brought you here, or how you found out about us. We'd like to hear from you. This is all engaging. The only rules that I have is that everybody is respectful to one another, and if you're not, the moderator will just block you anyways. I know Dave does. Well, do I have Dave? I think the one picture I have of Dave, he's in rollers, so I don't think he wants me to show that picture. I don't know if I don't still have it on here or not. But I just looked at my paperwork here. I can actually talk about this as well, because this is going to correlate with our helping kids through pet loss. So anyways, let's get started, because it is an important topic, and it's one that was emailed to me this past week, wanting to talk about it, because it is tough. It is tough. And you can, again, you did not. It is tough with kids, and you have to be. It's tough with kids for a lot of different reasons, and one of the things that is kind of sucks for us as parents is that if we're going through a grieving process, extremely hard, it's good for our kids to see that it's okay to grieve, it's okay to cry. I always like to say or tell people, usually when I had my harder losses, when I had the most challenging times, I did keep those times away from my kids. They saw me cry. They saw me go through all the motions of grief, but I never wanted to scare them. Because as parents, we're the rock of the family. And again, it's good for them to see you grieve, because that's natural and that's part of the life and death process. But you don't want to scare them either. So I always say that, if you have a spouse, a partner, something like that, have them help you. If they're not grieving as hard, maybe they can step in, and, if that you're going through a moment, because we know that with grief, it can hit at any time. And so if you have a spouse or partner, you can have them kind of be your protection. And if you need moments, they can take over and mitigate and cancel plans and take care of you, because when we're grieving, it's time to take care of ourselves. Besides taking care of our families and making sure they're okay, because they're suffering the same loss, nobody else in the world matters at that point. It's all about taking care of you. So anyways, but pet loss with children. I believe that pets and kids go hand in hand. I always have. I think that, this is my son when he was little. This is with Lola. And again, Lola's like 14 now, but this is my son with Lola. My kids, all my kids have always grown up with dogs, cats, and birds and snails and all sorts of things. This is Cookie. Cookie was one that had, she's the one that passed. And this is with my son as a baby. Cookie loved my son, loved the moderator very much. Cookie was the moderator's dog. And then this is Harley. Now, Harley was a puppy, as you can see here, when my son was a baby. They grew up together. And with growing up together and then having that loss, that was a hard one for him. Sometimes, dogs, when our kids come into our lives, our dogs might be, older and they don't have that real connection. But sometimes when they grow up together, that their connection was very tight. And when we lost our Harley, yeah, it was hard on the whole family, but it was especially hard on him. And I've mentioned in the past that was one that I made a huge mistake on. Yeah, I've been doing this for 13 years, right? I've been helping people for 13 years. And I misstepped on that one. When you think that you've got it all under control, when you're grieving horribly, you do have the ability to make mistakes. And Harley passed away 2 years ago. My son was 11 at the time. And the mistake I made was misjudging how I took it upon myself to make the decision on how my son was going to feel instead of having a conversation with him and walking through the process. My concern was Harley had, here he is too. Harley, this is Harley when he was maybe, I don't know, 9 years old, 9 or 10. But he had developed that boxer cardiomyopathy. He was on a bunch of pills. He had to have like 5, 6, 7 different medications per day. And this smoke is bothering me. And so when he was towards the last few days of his life, he stopped eating, and he had to take the pills when he ate. And I tried everything. I mean, I went to the store and I must have spent a crap ton of money on food and trying to get him to take his pills down and so forth. And the dog wouldn't eat. He wouldn't eat. And it's not like it was one of those things where he could or couldn't eat. He had to take those pills or he was going to go into heart attack mode. And every day, every hour that passed, and he wasn't taking his pills or his food, my anxiety just went through the roof because I thought at any moment he's going to have a heart attack. And the last thing I wanted was my son, who was at 11 years old at the time, to see his dog go into heart attack mode. Because it happened to me on my first one. Same thing, boxer cardiomyopathy, and he had a heart attack right basically in front of the family, and that was the worst. That was the worst situation you could go into, especially when you are deeply bonded and just the sights and the sounds and everything. So did not want that to happen. I think I was incorporating some of that grief into the situation with Harley. So every day he wasn't taking his pills, every day he wasn't eating. And all I kept thinking is he's going to end up like Sammy. He's going to go into this big heart attack. And my son, he's not going to be able to take it. I don't think I could take it again as an adult to go through it, let alone to have an 11-year-old watch his best friend go into heart attack and pass away. So the mistake I made was when it was the night before, and it was 3 or 4 days he hadn't eaten and no pills. And I woke up the next morning and the dog was just, he was just it was just awful. He looked awful. It was one of those things where you knew it was time. And my son was still sleeping, and I didn't say anything to anybody. I just got him the dog in the car, and we went straight over to the vet. And I peacefully said goodbye to him. So going home, on the way home, I start. Oh, hey, Michelle, welcome. No, you're fine. You were just on time. On the way home, I started getting phone calls, and it was my son asking where I was. I'm on that 360 app, so everybody and their brother and my family can find me. And he was asking where I was, where's his dog, because he noticed the dog wasn't there. And I just said, we'll talk when I get home. And when I pulled up into the garage, he came running out, and he said, he saw that there was no dog in the car. And I said, you could just see like the look on his face. And I looked at him, I said, unfortunately, he's gone. He's gone. And the look on my son's face was like, I've never seen my son look at me like he hated me before. And that he gave me this look like he hated me. And he started crying, and he ran, and we went through this whole thing for like a couple days of, him just being upset and not understanding. And so I learned a lot from that situation. I learned that every kid is different. I learned that I should have probably walked through the process instead of hiding the process. I mean, I know, like I'm in that kind of like Gen X era where, you didn't really talk about hard things, right? You don't really talk about that. Things just happen. Bad things happen, and you move on. You don't really talk about it. And you don't really talk about it with kids, right? I mean, finances, things like that. You don't include kids and stuff like that. And I kind of think death is the same way, or I looked at it that way. And instead of taking into consideration that no matter what, the outcome was going to be the same, but I could have done a whole hell of a lot better job of explaining it, making it so that it's not so scary, making it so that it's not so jarring, possibly knowing now hindsight, right? Knowing afterwards what I know now, I could have asked him to come with me and be there with me as we said goodbye to his dog and our dog. I didn't have enough. As a parent, I didn't have enough faith in him, right? I didn't have enough faith in him that he'd be able to handle it. And I think I was wrong. I was wrong because I handled it wrong. So that's why this topic is important today. How to navigate through pet loss. And there's a couple questions here. I'm going to pull them because these are the ones that were asked to me. So first one, should a kid be present when a dog is put down? And again, that depends on your kids. There's no right or wrong answer to that. You just have to know your kids. But so let's look at a couple different things. First, yes, in some cases it can be appropriate for a child to be there. Absolutely. For some kids, being present can help them understand what's happening. It gives them a chance to say goodbye, and it gives them a sense of closure. It also gives them a chance to ask questions. A lot of times when we go through the hard part of losing our pet, we're in our adult life. I've lost pets when I was younger. Didn't really understand the whole euthanasia process. And so when I did have to go through that for the first time, it was scary. It's scary because you can Google all day long, right? Google this, Google that. You can Google all day long, but nothing prepares you for being in the moment. And when you actually have a good vet explain things to you, um, the few times that I've had to do it, they always start out the same way. Have you ever been through this before? And if you say yes or no or whatever, if it's no, then they walk you through the process. And the process isn't as scary as our minds want it to be. Now, has there ever been like bad euthanasians? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not doubting that. I've had people in my pet loss group that had bad experiences, but I will be very honest. A lot of those bad experiences were when it was in emergency situations. And I'm not going to get into those, but like it was in emergency situations and last minute things. But for the most part, it's a very, very simple process. They're administered a drug prior to, which puts them in a twilight state and, makes them fall asleep. They're still with you. They're falling asleep. It's almost like when you go into surgery and go on under anesthetic, you're in that real deep state. And then the second one that's administered is the one that will stop the heart. And it's very peaceful. I've sat through several. I've sat through over 13 years. One of my biggest things were if somebody was going to be alone during a euthanasia and didn't want to be, I would volunteer to sit with them. Not because I enjoy seeing pets put down by any means, but I do love people. And I never want people to be alone during something like that because it's hard. It's hard. And if anybody, and I always say, if you don't have a friend, you have one now. And that's a huge thing because it's not a fun process, but it's also not a fun process to go through alone. So anyway, so I've gone through many, and the majority of them, I want to say 98% of them were very smooth processes, very beautiful, smooth processes. Dogs got a lot of food. Dogs, cats, I shouldn't just say dogs because there are cats too. Got a lot of food at the end. Everybody sat around and tons of hugs and tons of kisses and just a good experience. A good experience for something that wasn't great, right? End of life is never a great thing, but I always find the beauty in everything. So anyways, but for some kids, being present can help them understand, giving them a chance to say goodbye, have a sense of closure. It can also remove that fear of the unknown. Having them with you when this is going on, as a parent, you're their rock. So you are their rock. You're their, I always like to say the captain of the Titanic, right? So even when things are going down, the captain of the Titanic always like maintained, the steady head, when things were kind of going in the toilet, but they look to us for that. And they trust us and they trust our opinions. And so that's a good thing. That's a good thing that you're there with them. You can guide them. You can, help them through. When handled gently, it can show them that their pet was cared for and not alone at the end. That's another big thing. If anything, it shows the love of the family. It shows your kids that your family extends to more than just humans. And, that's a beautiful thing for a child. So, but it is important to remember that it's not for every kid. With that being said, it is important that it is not for every kid. And I think you'll know if your kid is one that can handle it. Younger children or children who are especially sensitive can find the experience not scary, but overwhelming, confusing. Even before, before deciding, it helps to ask a couple questions, right? Does my child understand what death means? Can they handle seeing strong emotions? Because you're going to have strong emotions. So do they know what death means? Can they handle strong emotions from you or for other people in the room? I mean, I've had it where, this is where we got to love sorry, Rosie. This is where we have to love our vets and our vet techs. I've sat in many euthanasias where our vet techs and our vets broke down crying with me. You know why? Because they're human. They're human. And yes, they God love these people. I mean, they see so many of these things, and I personally think it's a beautiful thing if you see them breaking down, because that to me means that they're not desensitized. I know that in order to be in that profession, you have to be desensitized to a point, but when you still have that human element, that means a lot to a family. That it means a lot to kids. Also, another thing is, do they want to be there? Ask them, do they want to be? That one matters huge. If a child feels forced, it can make the experience more distressing. If they feel like you have to go, or they're guilted into going. I mean, you may think they're ready, but maybe they're not. Maybe it's scary for them. But if they're given that choice, they feel safe. They feel safer that way. They feel like they have the option in or out, and it means a difference in your relationship with them as well. And don't be offended if they don't want to go, because it's hard. And it's hard. I mean, I don't have to tell you that. You're not dumb, but like it's hard, right? But I always say, okay, ahead of time, you want to explain everything to them, simple, clear language. You can put it this way: the vet is going to give our dog medicine that will help their body stop working. They will not feel pain, and we'll be there with them the whole way. Let them ask questions. Let them change their mind at the last minute. If they say in the beginning, yes, I want to go, and then all of a sudden at the last minute, they say, no, I don't want to be there. I've also had it where kids will, I kind of like this way, especially for younger kids. Kids will be in there and vets will allow this as well. If you know that you have a more sensitive child, you can have your kids in there during the first step where they administer, where they just fall asleep, where they're still with us, but they're just in that anesthetic like state where they're just like they're sleeping. And many times then after that, the kids will step out. They'll step out with other family members, and that is enough closure for them. And that's okay. And that's a good thing, because if anything, they were there. It's a beautiful part. But make sure that you're calm, you're supportive, and just not forceful. Oh, hey, hello, Annette. Hello. Oh, did you lose your ferret? Oh no, did you lose your ferret, Annette? I'm so sorry. I know that we've talked about him. Oh no. Annette, were you the one that told me about Mary the Medium? Oh, she's fair. Okay, I knew she would. Okay, I knew she wasn't doing well. Okay, so she's okay. Absolutely. Well, definitely prayers go out to your beautiful ferret. I'm glad she's still with us. That makes me happy. But you said she's very sick. Oh, I'm so sorry. If your kids decide that they do not want to attend the ending, there's still ways that your kids can say goodbye in meaningful ways. They can draw a picture. They can write a note, spend quiet time with the dog beforehand, create a small little memorial. Oh, I know. I remember when I was a kid, my dog Buck, and I don't think I ever told Dave and Patty this, but I remember it was probably a few days before we lost him. I just remember sitting outside at night with him in the backyard. Yeah. And just that quiet time. It was just him and I looking up at the stars and just sitting outside. And it was probably one of the most beautiful moments as a kid. And I didn't know when he was going to go. I didn't know he'd be gone in a couple of days, but I knew it was towards the end because he had some issues and medical issues. So I knew it wasn't going to be a lot of time, but I was also a kid and I didn't process a whole heck of a lot, but I did know that there was limited time. And that happened, a few days later, we lost him. Being present at the exact moment isn't the only way to process the loss. What matters most is whether they were there. What matters isn't whether they were there in the room. You are 100% correct. I've heard that too, Adam, that ferrets make wonderful pets. Now I've seen Annette, do they use like litter boxes and so forth? Because I know that like some people with ferrets have like make litter or like use litter boxes and all that good stuff. And then they just run throughout the house. I don't think I could do that with my dogs. I'm not sure how they would do with a ferret. I bet they are sweet. I will be 100% transparent with you. I used to be afraid of ferrets for a long time. I know Rosie's like, what do you mean you were afraid of a ferret? I was afraid of ferrets for a long time. And I always just thought that they were going to bite me. But I mean, they're not. I mean, they're really, I think I went to big stretch. I think I went to a pet expo and they had a ferret rescue there, and just I know, a little potato, and they were really, really sweet. So now, granted, my son, if he's watching this tonight, because he's out in Gatlinburg with another family having a vacation. My kids vacation all over with other families, but yeah, he's been asking for a ferret as well. But I just don't know. Like, I worry about with the dogs, and I don't want a bad thing to happen here. But anyway, so with regards, I know they are. Oh, your dog loves a ferret. Well, and I wonder if it's just like a thing with dogs. Like sometimes they I like Lola could care less. Lola could care less about like little furry creatures out in the yard. Coco is a different story. She can't hear me because she's deaf, but like Coco, man, she sees anything out in that yard and she's like going for it. Now, granted, she's never quick enough to get anything, thank God. But yeah, that's yeah, I don't know if she'd do well with a ferret at all. Let's see here. Your dog loves you. That's cool. Yeah, I've seen that though. I've seen where different like dogs and cats and stuff bond with ferrets and birds and all sorts of things. Unfortunately, I don't think. Maybe Rosie would, but I don't know. I wouldn't want. I don't know if I would want to chance that one. But let's see. Oh, here, and I'll show you this. This is why I was actually happy that I brought this. If you do have, this is in my. Well, I always said to like so, with regards to the kids, there's a couple things that you can do that help them with processing the grief. Anytime, these are all the ones that I've lost. Every time when we've lost one, when they come home, we set up a almost like here, I'll show you. It's a picture of it. So down here is this was my Harley. So when Harley came home, I set up the table, and I'll show you that. I set up the table, and I have his urn here in the middle, And I always have my little pet candle here. Here's his paw print with his little fur in there. His collar's down here, and we always get a cake. And this one says, we'll miss you, Harley. So every time one of them comes home, we always have this, and then everybody will sit around, and all the dogs get cake, everybody gets cake, and it's like our little celebration of life for them. And I think that that's important for kids too, because it's not, they lost their dog and here comes an urn at home. And, this way it's kind of it's almost like we celebrate for people, right? We have gatherings and we have food and we sit around, we talk, and, we maybe share memories. That's important. Things like that are important. So it's doing something like that is great. I've done it with all of my dogs, and it means something to myself and the kids. Now up here is, I decorate. This is part of my garden, part of my yard. I have my rainbow bridge in the middle, and then I've got my dog statues here. Nobody's buried in here. It's just a memorial garden for them. And I decorate it for Christmas, and I decorate it for all the different holidays. But I have my little memorial garden out there. I think that's good for kids too, so that they can see that there's a special spot. We have a pretty big yard, and every time I looked out, when I was sitting on the deck, I'm like, I want to do something with that corner. And I do. I enjoy decorating it for all the holidays and stuff, but it means something to the kids too. It shows them that, again, our animals aren't just animals. They're family. They're family, and family deserves to be celebrated. And it's hard when there's a loss. It's hard when there's a loss. So, and many times with the family pet is the child's first experience with death, or first experience with death that they can actually process. And so, it helps to talk. It helps to have communication. A couple things that you want to look for, maybe in older kids, or older kids, is to let them know that it's okay for them to grieve, because again, we're kind of in that society time of, it's disenfranchised grief, and we want them to know that it's okay to grieve. And we also are going to prepare them, because they're going to have their friends that may make that comment, the one that we hate as adults. Why don't you just get another one? Why don't, it's just a dog, it's just a cat. They're going to come into those sayings, unfortunately. And it's good to prepare them that that's not the way it is in your home. And that's not the way that society views it. We can't, I always say too, like, God forbid I lost, my grandmother. If somebody came up to me and said, you said, well, why don't you just go out down to the nursing home and find another one? Well, why would you do that? That's just dumb. So, but they're going to go through that. They're going to hear that from their friends, because kids don't know. I always like to think that adults know better. But they say it too. So anyways, instead of saying don't cry or be strong, and that's especially for our little boys, when it comes to grief, there is no do not cry, be strong. But no, we don't do that. We don't do that. You say, I'm here for you. I feel sad too. You acknowledge that pain. My very first person that ever came to me 13 years ago was a 6'5", 6'7" older gentleman who was a Navy SEAL. He was a Navy SEAL, had seen death through war and so forth, but could not get his head around why the loss of his cat was breaking him. And that is, you think a Navy SEAL is probably like one of the, mentally strongest, thing, but grief doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care how strong you are. It is what it is. When you make that commitment to love something, and when it loves you back unconditionally every day, 365 days, for how many years that you have that animal, yeah, there's no rules anymore. There's no rules anymore. There's no crying. No, that's a bunch of hogwash, is what that is. But you want to keep the conversation open. You want to, you know, acknowledge your grief. Uh, the kids process grief in pieces. They may come back with the same questions again and again. And that's not a problem. It's just how they understand and process things, because their brain isn't fully processed. Um, avoid phrases. Avoid phrases like "they went to sleep" or "we lost them." Those can actually create fear, especially in younger children. Children might start to worry about going to sleep, or wondering if their pet is, or wondering if their pet is coming back. So if you say they lost them, they're going to sit there and wonder if the pet's coming back. And it's just because kids don't understand things. So, try to avoid minimizing the loss too, saying that it was just a pet, or saying that, yeah, don't do that to them. I don't think you would, because if you're here, I don't think that you would say it's just a pet, and be dismissive on it. I don't think any of us would. But if you do have friends, or if you ever come into contact with people, this is always good advice for other people as well, because not everybody here maybe is going through a loss. But like Adam, you were here for your mom, which was wonderful. You came to find support, to help your mom and help you go through that. And so that's a beautiful thing. That way you can help other people. You get information and you can pass it on, and help other, and you can help other kids. Maybe there's your kid's best friend is being insensitive to them. Now that you have knowledge is power, now that you have this information, you can say, look, no, what he's going through is fine. To kids, their dogs, cats, ferrets, birds, that's like their best friends. My son, talks to all the animals in the house. I shouldn't just say him. I talk to all the animals in the house too. But I mean, he really talks to his birds and things like that. And yeah, so you hear me just say my son's the only one. Yeah, no, I talk to all the animals in the house too. And I talk to them like, they're, people, just like I always do. But look at, another thing, create a memorial, create a little memorial. For your kids, put pictures up, put little pictures, and maybe a part of, if they were close to their animal, maybe in their room, put up a little spot with pictures when they were together, maybe pictures they haven't seen in a long time. Encourage them to talk about it, encourage them to not focus on the end and focus on the whole life. And oh gosh, when we got Harley, and when we did this, remember when, Harley, I don't know, ate the whole bag of chips and pooped through the house. I mean, keep the good memories out there, so that it helps kids process it. It helps them realize that the ending isn't the whole story. We get so hung up on the ending that we forget that we had years of this beautiful story, this beautiful journey. Patty said that she got a call at work from my daughter, crying that her bird died, and coworker made a comment, it was just a bird. Big mistake. Yeah, well, yep. Yeah, that is a huge mistake. Yeah, it's not just a bird. Yeah, well, Patty knows, Patty and Dave knows that they have parakeets too. So you don't mess with the parakeets. So, and they're parakeets. We have parakeets as well, but yeah. So, sometimes when kids' pets die, they start worrying about other people dying. I do. No, no, we're not talking about that, Patty. No. Maybe I remember that. Maybe I remember that. But yeah, but it's just just acknowledge. Just the biggest thing with kids is just acknowledge everything. Losing a family pet can be one of the first real experiences for kids at grief. They're not just animals, they're family. So I wanted to hit on, and this is the first, time that kids will really actually experience unconditional love. I mean, I made the comments before that when I don't know what my little Lola's doing over there. God love her. My Lola is just my little senior citizen. She just I know you're looking at me. Um, she just wanders around sometimes. But she's just my little senior citizen. But yeah, the sorry. Anyway, so my apologies. I got thrown off there for a second because I didn't know what she was doing over there. She was looking like she was getting into something, but and I don't have my co-producer here to get to wrangle these dogs. So thank God that they've been well tonight. Um, yeah, absolutely, Annette. Annette, were you the one that told me about Mary the Medium? Was it you that told me about Mary the Medium? Because I'm going to be on her show Thursday, and then Thursday night at 9 p.m. And then she's going to be on her show next Tuesday. So hopefully, like I said, I'll put the link to her show that I'm going to be on Thursday in the link below. But yeah, it's like I said, it's pet loss is a heavy topic, and then when you get the now I will say I've known quite a few families with younger kids, and they've done, they've all gone together to, say their final goodbyes. This is, I know I've showed this before, but when we lost my Harley, I went to the Build-A-Bear, and they had a dog, and so I got this dog, and I built the bear for my son, and in the paw, I had a recording of Harley's bark, and I had it put into the dog so that whenever my son wanted to hear his dog again, he could pick up this stuffed dog, and then he could play the sound, which hopefully you can hear it. Hang on. I think. Yeah. So hopefully you could hear that. But so it's a remembrance so that he can remember the sound of his dog, and because that's scary too. I think one of the reasons why we hang on to grief a lot is because we're afraid. We're afraid of forgetting, right? That's scary. As we grow older, we're afraid that if we forget, or when we bring a new family. Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, the moderator said that Sweet Pea, which it was my littlest one. Oh my goodness, Sweet Pea used to sit with me on the couch, and Harley would come up and bark at me to get attention. And Sweet Pea, she was like 7 pounds. It didn't even matter that she was like, yeah, she would snap at it. She would like get up and like snap. It was like the Chihuahua in her would like snap at him like crazy. But yeah, she was not tolerating that barking at all. But anyways, so we are at the end of the hour. If everybody would like to, if you have lost somebody, put the name in the chat. We'd like to grab my candle over here. We can get the candle lit for all of those who have lost a pet. Doesn't have to be this week, last week. It could be 10 years ago. Whenever I say to somebody that I deal with, I work with people with pet loss and grief, immediately, I don't think I've ever run across it yet where I haven't had somebody. It's almost like you can see them go back to a moment in their life, and 90%, 95, 6, 7% of people have had a dog in their adult life or their younger life, And there was always that, few special ones that you can automatically see that, them, because they'll start out and say, I had a dog, I had a cat, whatever it is. And then it's like they pause and you can almost see them replaying some of those moments in their mind. And then they'll start either talking about it, or then I will normally prod and say, well, who were they? What was their name? And, tell me about them. And people light up. They light up because they want to share that. That's why pet loss and grief is so lonely, because again, this is your companion animal. And so with that being said, or your family companion animal. And so only you know those intimate moments. Only you have those memories, those Christmases. And when somebody asks you about one of the most important parts of your life, that's exciting to people. It means that you care. So if somebody tells you, here's another kind of tidbit. If somebody tells you, I lost my dog, or I lost my cat, or I lost my bird, or whatever, they lost something. Your next question should be, well, what was their name and what were they like? And it's not going to upset them. If anything, it's going to make, shut up, mother. If anything, it's going to make, I think the bird's name was Tweety, wasn't it? Now that I'm thinking about this out loud. But it's going to make them feel like, wow, somebody wants to hear this. And that's the most beautiful thing that I love about working with people with pet loss and grief, is I've heard some of the most beautiful stories. And people have told me things that they have never told anybody before. And I am so humbled and blessed by that. And, just have that ability to be able to get a glimpse into somebody's life that they wouldn't normally share with a stranger. And it's an amazing thing. It's an amazing feeling to be honored like that somebody's, going to tell you some things that they wouldn't even, probably tell their best friend. Right. But they know that if you ask them questions, they know that you're a safe person. They know that you get it, that you understand. And that's priceless. Right there is priceless. Letting somebody know that they're not alone. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, I was going to say no. See, I wasted it on incense. And okay. Oh yeah, your guinea pig. We lost our guinea pig, Herschel. What was your guinea pig's name, Michelle? Let's start a fire here. Yeah, it's like I said, it's one of those things where it is just, it's a tough situation. But anyway, so we light this candle for all the ones that we've lost and who have given us unconditional love. Well, it doesn't matter. You don't have to remember the name. It's just you remember the guinea pig and how special it was. So that's right there is a very, very special thing. So we honor all those that have given us unconditional love and have touched our lives and been a part of our family. Their light never goes out. As long as they're in our memory, they're special. And according to as according to Mary the Medium, they are always with us no matter what, and they are waiting for us when it is our time to go on over there. So anyways, until Friday, Frenchie Friday, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. I appreciate each and every one of you that stopped by. Like I said, I'll post the link for Thursday if everybody would like to join Mary's show and check her out. I'd love to have you on. It's 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then it's probably 9 to 10, or sometimes she goes a little over. But anyways, and then after that, we'll have our Friday show, and then the following Tuesday, I'll have Mary and Jason on, and it should be an extremely interesting show. So I hope everybody has a good night. Take care. Thank you. Have a good week. Yeah, be safe too. And I will see you all on. Yeah, I'll call you, and I'll see you all on Frenchy Friday or Thursday if you stop on by Mary's show. Take care. Have a good night. Bye.